running simulation. MINOLTA ROKKor 58mm f1.2. Lens design 7 elements in 5 groups. Weight 478 grams. Close focusing distance from a sensor 0.6 meters. Number of aperture blades 8. This is a vintage lens review. Begin footage testing.
Originally designed as a film-era photography lens and highly sought after because of its speed, this 58mm lens has a strong reputation for being one of the best Minolta lenses ever produced. Now this one has been modded for cinema by Cinmod Lens and will be used primarily for video, so that's why most of today's footage is in video form. Originally designed in 1966, 3 versions of this lens were manufactured between 1966 and 1973, all with the same 7-element in 5-group design, but having a few physical differences on the variants themselves. The 58mm focal length, matched with a fast aperture of f1.2, made this a great portraiture lens, and to this day has a strong reputation as a Bokeh Beast. And let's be honest, you're not going to spend that extra money on a fast lens like this if you're not planning on taking advantage of it. At f1.2, you definitely get some unique image characteristics, even if it's only a half stop more light than the more common f1.4. Now focusing this lens is wonderful. The throw on this copy is perfectly weighted and has a very manageable 90-degree focus throw. There is definitely some focus breathing when going from infinity to close, but it's not as noticeable unless your shot is locked off on sticks. Put a little camera movement such as a pan or tilt and you won't even notice it. Now wide open, you get a soft, creamy look on the image with a little vignetting in the corners and ultra low contrast. Now stopping down to f2.8, the image sharpens up across the frame and the contrast levels normalize. At f5.6, the lens will fall in line with just about every other lens out there, and if you plan on shooting at this f-stop, you might as well just get a cheaper 58mm like the Helios 44-2. Now many of these old photography lenses were never really meant to be used as a set, but Minolta had a reputation for very strict quality control and took great care to ensure the consistency when it came to the image quality throughout their focal range. It's for this reason Minoltas do make a great converted cinema set for videographers who are interested in building a vintage set.
Footage testing complete. Loading photographic samples.
Now since I've only had this lens for a limited time, I did manage to take a few photos with it, both for general purpose photography as well as for some pixel peeping. Now, I mentioned earlier, shooting wide open at f1.2 has a razor thin depth of field, where focus is critical. When you zoom into the focus area, you can see it's not super sharp. Of course, this is only really noticeable when zoomed in quite a lot. Slightly behind the focus point, you'll definitely notice some green fringing on the edges here. Now, if your focus is short, the green fringing becomes a magenta type fringing. You can see both green and magenta aberrations at play in this shot. The high contrast areas are definitely what make them stand out more than a more neutral lighting scenario. Back focus is green, the front focus is magenta. Now I would love a good portrait session with this lens and hope I can get a bit more time with it to experiment with that in the future. If you're into vintage lenses and do have some money saved up, I'd say definitely take a look at this one. Alright guys, well that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and maybe next time I'll do an on-camera portion. Felt like I should just maximize the lens results on this one, and besides, who really wants to stare at my ugly mug for a prolonged period of time? I didn't think so. See you guys next time.
Terminate video signal.